Hi, my name is Mike.G and have another video. And I'm going to make one of these videos for men as well, so if anybody is triggered, that's not my problem. Women that chase Chad or Tyrone have large body count and become bitter. The absolute worst woman to go after as a man is a woman that has been chasing Chad. Because chasing Chad gives a woman a false sense of self. These same women that chasing Chad, they don't catch Chad. They might hold on to him for a little bit, but Chad to these women is kind of like the serpent in the garden. And that's what he will end up doing, because these women are attractive. Maybe they're not the most attractive. Maybe they'd be considered sixes, sevens. They're chasing Chad. They're kind of like punching up above their weight class, you could say. They can grab the guy for a little while, but they can't hold on to him. And then once you have a guy like that for a woman, it kind of spoils her. And it spoils her because now she thinks that she's at that level of the Chad or Tyrone level of these, very attractive guys. They could have a whole lot of other problems, but the bottom line is, it's like a guy that gets tons and tons of women. These guys make the women into sluts. I know it sounds horrible, but it's true. They make them into sluts, and they poison the women so that you can't have them. You can't have a relationship with them, because here's how it usually goes. A woman that's chasing Chad or attractive to Chad, a woman's very attractive, let's say from 16 years old to 23, and 23 being like the most attractive the woman is just physically. We're not talking about anything else. These are the Chad years until she hits the late 27s, and then comes the wall at 30. Once the woman hits 30, she now is not getting chased by Chad anymore. She can't maintain a relationship for Chad, and she just becomes either a hookup with Chad or becomes, a short-term relationship. And these women now, when they turn 30, they're very bitter. And this is when they have their super high standards, when they are meeting anybody that is not Chad. So, from, let's say, the moment they meet Chad, other guys don't exist. Guys that maybe are not as attractive, maybe they don't speak as well. And most guys, when they're young, they really don't get their groove going until they're 30 years old. So men generally go for a very dry period, a dry spell in relationships. And there's plenty of men that are even virgins that are very old. They're virgins for a long time, because these women don't see those guys. Because these women are chasing Chad, and at this time, with our internet and makeup and how vapid the society has been, that it's even magnified even more, and that's where we get the hookup culture. And there's a lot of women now, after 30 years old, that they look preserved. However, they have a very large body count, because once you get Chad, then you think you'll get another Chad, and then you'll get another Chad, and get another Chad. And, the clock is ticking. And then once it gets to this point, it's midnight. 30 years old is midnight. Now, here's another thing. This is biblical. This is biblical. Let me show you something. Let me go through this biblically. 30, you can also make a parallel to 3 years old. So in our developmental stages, you could say 30 and 3 are parallels. 3 to 5, that if you've seen my stages of development videos, is the time when the child is supposed to be introduced to the opposite sex parent as the creativity that they start showing. And this creativity is the beginning of the connection with God. This is where it begins. That's why women, when they get close to 30, they start having that, found God feeling, or now all of a sudden they want to be born again virgins. However, they've accumulated so many hot summer weekends, or hot girl summers in their younger years, that by the time they get to 30, they have these unattainable standards, because now these women, they give the man all kinds of lists that he needs to do so that she can even consider him. So as a guy, when you start seeing this, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, because you will not have peace in this relationship. Because when she starts having a body count like 40, 200, 500, because let me tell you, when you're a hot girl, you can go out every single night, and before the end of the night, you can rope in a Chad. Hold on to him for a week or something, then you start getting 2 or 3 Chads. You could pick up a guy every night. Very easy for a woman to rack up these big body counts. You got to stay away from these women. You got to stay away from these women, because in the end, you are competing with Chad, even if Chad doesn't call her. She's already, in her mind, she's settling for you. And the ignorance of, let's say, the men's groups, MGTOW, this is hysterical how crazy they are. The MGTOW guys tell the men and tell the women that the woman should lower her standards. Let me tell you, it's impossible for a woman to lower her standards after she's been run through with Chad. You don't want a woman that lowers her standards. Because if you get the woman that lowers her standards, that means in her mind, she's dumbing down, and unconsciously, you can't impress the woman. So the woman now looks down on you. You can't impress her, and unconsciously, this is going to bring the man into rage, and he is going to give her violence instead of power. If you cannot overpower the woman, then you're going to eventually be full of rage, and you're going to give her violence instead. So you see, these relationships, they're not going to work out too good. As far as I'm concerned, women, teach your other women to stay away from Chad. Stay away from Chad, because Chad is that doorway serpent activity for her. Because she will get so many body counts, and she'll always think of Chad. She'll always think of Chad. And there was this woman in Switzerland or something. She offed herself because she wasn't attractive anymore. Because she's trying to rope in Chad all the time, she'll spend more time, more makeup, more money, plastic surgery, this, to try and keep Chad. I remember a bar owner, and he had an attractive wife, and she's getting older, and he's looking to hook up with other women, so she gets breast implants to try and do this and do that. It's not going to work. She got the wrong guy. Women, that body count number is going to become exceedingly important. The more body count the woman has, the more miserable she will be as she gets older. At 30 years old, the clock is ticking. At 30 years old, as the man that you're going to get this girl, and you think that you're playing the long game, miserable. And if you're one of her orbiters, see, women, a woman has orbiters. And these are guys that are not Chad. And what these guys do is they're nice to her. They can give money. They can be the friend that she cries to about Chad. About Chad, she has a bad relationship. She tells her orbiters. And these orbiters are always looking to get with her. If you're one of the orbiters to a woman, you will find out that you're going to be miserable. You got to break this cycle. The man has to break the cycle of being an orbiter for these women. These women with these high standards, you have to leave them alone. I know it sounds screwed up, but you have to leave them alone. And if they're toting like 1, 2, 3 kids with different fathers, with different Chads, even worse. Even worse. Now, this is not politically correct, but let me tell you, as a man, and you get one of these women, it's going to be misery. Another big body count things to look for is stray tattoos. Not drawing tattoos per se. I don't like tattoos at all, but ones that kind of like make a sentence and it's on their fingers, neck, arms. Okay? Especially those, like all of a sudden you have the hand and they got this stupid tattoo across the inside of the, let's say, the index finger here or here. You see that? Run. I don't know how many men that turns into or how many Chads, but I could probably think maybe 20 to 30 guys per tattoo. You could think after 20 guys, they get those tattoos. Also, if you look at women's eyes, okay, if these are heavily colored, if they're heavily colored, this is a giveaway that they've had a lot of guys. Because what happens is the woman is the torso. And this is the woman. And when she gets a lot of guys, what happens is she gets these eyeballs. She doesn't have the head because she's not thinking about what she's doing, but she has these eyes. This is how I see these women that have lots of bodies. They got no head, and like right at the neck, there are 2 eyeballs. Tremendous amount of makeup. Looks like a totally different person. They are covering the shame. They are covering the shame. Ask if the woman starts off the conversation with you, if the first words out of her mouth is, "What do you do?" She wants to see where you end up on the financial scale. If that's like the first, second, or third question, and what do you do, and you could tell it's for money, ask her what's her body count. Ask her what's your body count. Because you see, the masculine wants the body from the woman, and the feminine wants the security. The masculine is the head, the arms, and the legs. The woman is the torso. So when you're finding a woman, you're bringing the torso together with the masculine head. Here's another thing that these women usually say, this like dumb as dumb thing can be. They don't even know what they're saying when they're saying this. Like when a woman, the question that you can ask a woman sometimes is, "What do you bring to the table?" Okay, so you see the table, right? Okay, so what do you bring the table? What do you bring to the table? When a woman says that she is the table, run. Run. Because you see, the table is what the man brings. Because the table is part of the house. So the man brings in the money, and we're not talking about being a rich man. Any table. The table is in the house. The woman is to bring the food on the table. The man buys the table, pays for the food. She has to cook the food. If she says she's the table, she's indirectly telling you she's the man. People give up who they are in their words. They are snared by the words of their tongue. So what comes out of the mouth, you might think it's funny. Oh, yeah, I'm the table. Yeah, you think that's funny. There's a truth to what the person is saying. There's a truth. That's why when you see the woman adorned with this makeup on the eyes, you see those straight tattoos on the fingers, arms, and hands, she's got a big body count. And if you look at these videos of these women who you could tell have big body counts, they kind of say it, you'll see these same tattoos. They're all over the place. You'll see the same eyes. You'll see that they're making sure that you could see their breasts. These are traps. These are traps for the man. If the woman is chasing Chad, she's been polluted. You can't have a relation. It's very, very hard. You're gonna have to eat a lot of poop that she's gonna tell you is chicken salad. You're gonna be eating chicken poop. Very hard. These crazy standards that they have. Let me tell you some of the standards. They want a man that's the 3 6s. The 3 6s. Isn't that interesting? This is what the woman wants. She wants 6 figures. Okay? She wants 6 foot tall. And she wants a 6-pack. This is what the woman wants. The woman is where the desire started in the Garden of Eden. The eyes were opened. And what did they open to? Desire and identity. Desire and I apart from God. So the more that the woman is focusing on 6 figures, 6 foot tall and 6-pack, that if she doesn't get this, she's going to make the guy's life misery. Misery. Because she's had Chad. She was taught by these feminist movements. She was taught, brought up, eating that Cinderella snowflake thing where the Prince Charming is going to come and he's going to be 6 feet. Let me tell you, this is a very small population that has all 3 of these. Small population. Maybe point, let's say 1% of the population has 6 figures, 6 foot tall, and 6-pack. Not even 1%. So that means that 85% of the women are going for 1% of the guys. That's why they're bitter. That's why these women, when they can't get Chad, they become very bitter. And it's soul crushing for the man. Because, she might be attractive. She might, he fallen for her looks, but the looks is not everything. The looks is not, it's important. You want to be attracted to the person that you're going to be spending your life with. But at the same time, if the looks is everything, and she's got this, past of Chad, don't do it. And as far as standards go, the idea is that as a mate, the woman wants to find someone that can support, the woman and the family if they have a child. It's not about getting the bag. These standards are what she's going to use so that you could be in her presence. This is a fantasy. If you're a young guy, you're going to have pretty much a dry spell until you start getting your swing. You're going to have a dry spell with the women. And you know what? Better yourself. Make yourself Do something. Do something. Do something. Better yourself. And the crazy standards, you got to make $100,000 a year. Get out of my face. Get out of my face. Because if you made that $100,000 a year, I guarantee you she'll spend all of it. And it's never going to be enough. It's never going to be enough. I'm going to make one on the other side now for the men and some of their crazy things that they say, and how they enable. Instead of having their own power, they enable and they become a prisoner. So again, women that chase Chad or Tyrone have large body counts and become bitter. Stay away from these women. Find out as soon as you can. You'll be able to tell. I know it's going to be hard because maybe you find a woman and you think she's the one because she's attractive or whatever, but that body count, let me tell you, that's going to be your kryptonite. Because that thing just grows and gets mold, and it'll destroy you. God bless.